What's up, guys? Saulo here. Decided to record a 200 zone session here. I was feeling quite bored, and whenever I feel bored, I start to play really bad, distracted, and stuff like that. So I decided to record to force myself to concentrate and think about the spots properly. And I also wanted to create some content for you guys to see if that's something I can do right. And just let me know if you have any doubts, questions, and I'll be happy to answer. And let's just get into the action. Pocket 5 here on table 2 is going to be just a call versus this ISO raise. No reason to 3-bet here. I'm just gonna play a multi-way pot with a pocket pair, especially against the possible fish. Fish folds. I'm not gonna feel great about facing a bet on this flop because his betting range is gonna be very equity driven. But once he checks, I believe his range is gonna be very weak. And I'm just gonna bet to make him fold his overcards. King 10 is a very easy open fold here from the small blind. Nothing we can do. This is a call with Queen 9 suited. Calling as well with a Queen 2 suited. Not sure if I have mentioned this strategy before, but this is something I'm experimenting with. The open limp from EP and MP. I got that idea from a 500 Zoom regular who uses this strategy and it works quite well for him. So I thought it would be interesting to test it out. And so far it has been very good for me too. I've been having great results with it, so I'm going to continue to use it. Here with the Queen 9, I think we want to overbet this turn with this much equity. Uh, 10-9 off just a fold. 9-7 suited. It's going to be close between 3-bet or call. Generally, we want to be 3-betting a linear range from the big blind. I think this hand performs well in both ranges. On the turn, facing the check back from the PFR, he's going to have really garbage hands like 8-7 of clubs, or he's going to have showdown value. So with a hand like this that has no equity, I think I should be checking the turn. And on the river here, I'm going to bet small to try and make him fold those air hands like king highs, queen highs, stuff like that. I don't expect to get folds from one pair hands like this one. So I'm just going to bet really small to try to fold those king high, queen high hands. And I think that's going to be a very profitable bet. I could also bet large to try to represent an ace, but I'm just not going to have that many ace X in my range there, and I might just get heroed because of that. So I think that just targeting the queen highs and king highs is going to work best. I usually fold 9-4 suited, but I think it's plus EV to open this pool. Ace-2 suited is going to be an open fold. Ace-Jack 9, kind of a connected texture. Facing a lead here, I think it's close between raise or call. I think with the King of Clubs, it would be a must raise. But without the King of Clubs, just doesn't feel too strong of a hand to raise the flop. However, when a blank comes and he continues to bet half pot, his range is just super weak, and I need to get value from his draws and worse ace-x, so I'm going to be raising there. Eights doesn't really make much sense bet this flop. Just gonna check and try to get to showdown against the fish. He delays he bets on the turn. This line is generally over bluffed. However, on this board, I expect him to be bluffing a lot of his bluffs on the flop, which leaves his lazy bet range fairly strong. So I don't mind folding the turn.
Rap music.
Fairly easy call here with a king jack off. Flop is 8-8-3 rainbow, pretty disconnected flop. Theory wise, this guy shouldn't have too much of a check folding range on this texture. He should either c-bet a lot, check raise a lot. I'm not sure how people are going to be playing this texture in practice, but I do expect them to be overfolding. However, king high still has a lot of showdown value on the flop, so I think checking back and trying to get to showdown makes a lot of sense. Turn I don't bet because his range is so weak that he's just going to be folding worse hands, and I have practically the nuts on the turn, so I'm going to check, let him maybe catch up a pair so that he can pay me off on the river. Also, it's not a spot where a lot of my range wants to bet. I just want to bet like 8x and king x, and that's a very small portion of my overall range. So since I'm just already going to be checking a lot, I think checking range is a fine simplification there. Obviously, it is a good spot to bluff, so you could argue that because we're bluffing a lot, we should also start value betting more, and that would be fine as well. Maybe ISOing the fish. Flop gonna go for the range c-bet. Ace-9 is gonna be a call here. The fish check calls the flop. Turns hotspot. However, with my ace high, I feel like it can check back and call on a lot of rivers, this one included. It's gonna have a lot of floats like Jack 9, Queen 9, Queen Jack, stuff like that. So I think checking back to call makes sense. For ace 9, we have a double gutter. versus super small size. I don't think we can fold versus size. However, it's a very annoying spot. On the 10, it's so gross. My hand is an okay hand to bluff here on the river. However, the button is still going to have a lot of 10x and queen x, which obviously not going to be folding. And my hand is actually a bad blocker because it blocks a lot of folds like pocket 9s or 9-7, no, not 9-7, pocket 9s, 8-9, hands like that. So yeah, it's gonna have a lot of 10x here. That's why I didn't want to bluff the river, but it's really close. King queen is gonna be a limp call most of the time, sometimes 3-betting. Against the cutoff, I think it's just gonna be a limp call. Ace-8 suited in position, definitely have to call. King queen gonna be calling here. Flop against half pot. This guy's short stacked, so it's most likely a fish. It's an easy call on the flop. Here against his bet size, I'm just gonna fold. Usually when people take larger bet sizes, their range is much stronger. So I think I have an easy fold with king queen there, especially without a spade. With a spade, it would be much closer. The fish checks ace queen suited on him. Jeez, it's a fairly easy shove. Ace jack suited is going to be mostly a fuck. This is what I hate about this fucking site, man. I can't fucking reload and then I get aces 60 big blinds deep. It's so stupid. Oh man. Turn here with ace jack. I think it's supposed to be a call. 2 overs in the gutter. Takes too much equity to fold, especially in a limped pot where we're gonna have pretty wide ranges. And they're just gonna fold the river. Although, yeah, I'm just gonna fold. Ace-5 is going to be mostly a limp 3-bet. Probably not going to 3-bet versus an ice, so yeah, not against this size. This range is going to be very contracted and strong. So I'm just going to call here. King Jack off, also just going to call. Pretty easy jack fold on this board. And here, definitely have to float versus size with 2 overs and a weak backdoor straight draw. Also, king high has decent showdown value in the spot. Question is, should I turn this into a bluff on the turn versus check? I think it's pretty close. If he checks to me, I'm going to bet 1/3 on the river. And here, I just want to make him fold his ace highs and king queen, basically. That's what I'm trying to fold out here. Turn is close because my hand is really garbage for betting the turn. Just because I block all the hands I'm targeting to fold, you know. King highs, jack highs, stuff like that. The hands is going to be folding on the turn. Also, I don't have a heart to bluff on heart rivers, which would be interesting to have. But it's very close. The MDA says that there's not a number fold frequency in that line, like the back check fold line. That's why I don't bluff too aggressively in that situation. So I just try to pick my best bluffs. Fairly easy check raise with the aces. Here I'm actually gonna overbet. Here I'm gonna check this turn. Here I have a massive range advantage on this turn in terms of strong hands. And here I'm gonna bet small, try to force a call from 8x type hands or pocket sevens. So they're on the king queen hand, jack 10 hand, king queen board. I'm just gonna have so many more strong hands than villain on that texture that my value hands just want to put as much money as possible in the pot because they're the nuts, and the nuts just wants to put money. This is really close with ace queen, man. For 60 big blinds. Do I want to get it in 60 big blinds with ace queen? This is annoying. Very close spot. If this guy was 100 big blinds deep, I would feel much more comfortable with this squeeze. When we hit 60 big blinds deep, he's just going to be shoving his 8s plus ace queen plus. It's not that great to get it in pre-flop for 60 big blinds with ace queen off. But I guess just too much dead money for me not to squeeze and get those folds. Fairly easy call with 9-7 here. Find the flush in the river. This guy probably has a very strong range when he leads for that size of the turn. So when he checks, he's always going to have a hand to call me with, so I'm just going to bet 3/4 and hope that he calls. Which he does. Probably have a hand like 10-9 or ace-5 or maybe ace-jack. Yep, ace-10, top 2 pair. I think you should probably bet the turn. Bet the river. Even though the flush hits, he still has a very, very strong hand. It doesn't make much sense for him to be putting himself into a bluff catching situation. Like, I really don't have too many bluffs to bluff with on the river, so he's just hoping that I value bet worse. And I can't really value bet worse. The only worse hand I'm going to have is ace deuce and ace 5, which is blocking. So yeah, I think it's probably a mistake for him to check call the river, and betting small would probably be much, much better. I'm going to have a lot of hands like ace 8, ace 7, ace 6, and if he bets very small, I'm going to be very tempted to call with those hands. Betting small is much, much, much better than check calling. Obviously, people here are clueless. They just don't think about the game. They just play their hands, and when a scary card comes, they check. Definitely have to raise here with ace queen suited. This min raise here, really weird. I don't see this very often. Doesn't really make much sense. You should either raise quite big or just limp behind. That size just accomplishes nothing. King 10 suited is mostly a limp 3-bet. Jack 10 suited, I would 3-bet if these guys were 100 big blinds deep. I think at this stack depth, I'm just going to be calling. Villain finds the call pre-flop. WC batting range here, quite standard. Here Jack 10 with very weak backdoors. I think just folding is best. I'll be close at the table here with 150 big blinds deep. Don't really want to be playing deep in a video because I haven't really studied deep stack play too much, so everything I would say would basically be my guess and not something I studied, and my guesses are not really relevant for an educational video. I'm just going to be talking about something I'm sure of, and at 100 big blinds deep, I'm very comfortable in most spots, but not more than that. King 6 off, just going to be a fold here. King 8 off is going to be an open. Ace 5 is going to be a 3-bet here. Pretty nice hand to 3-bet. Jack 3 off's a fold. Ace Jack suited is going to be a limp 3-bet as well. 7-6 off, pretty close between open raising or open folding. Flop's going to be a range bet. This is close. I think it's actually a fold. And we're going to back call here with a 7-6. Probably going to get raised very often on this texture. However, not raised enough. So we still have the incentive to bet range. King 10 suited is going to be a 3-bet against cutoff and later. Probably against MP most of the time as well, but definitely against cutoff and later. He calls. Flop's pretty dry. Definitely going to be c-betting range here. That's not a hand I'm going to be looking to barrel on too many turns because it's going to be blocking a lot of folds from villain's range in future streets with the king of clubs and the 10 of clubs. So it's an insta check on most turns. Definitely going to be check calling this turn. Villain starts to polarize his range. I'm already thinking about check call because he's going to have a lot of possible bluffs here in his range. Any king 9, ace jack, ace king, king jack, jack 9. There are a bunch of possible bluffs in his range. He's definitely going to have some king, queen x, of course. But I block 10s, I block king, queen offsuit. So I have to call here. Nice. Let's go. King 7 off, always a call. Blind versus blind. You can 3-bet this hand against people that overfold, but in this pool, I've already studied how the small blind plays on average, and the small blind does not overfold on average on this pool, and that's because they open only 37% from the small blind, which is ridiculous. So since they don't overfold, I'm just going to be 3-betting a linear range. And king 7 off is just going to be my call range. This is something that's very annoying on this side. Sometimes the table just won't load up. You have to close and open many times until it opens. 5-4 suited, definitely an open limp call here, and easy check fold on this board. If villain checks behind, then his range is going to be extremely capped, and I'm going to exploit that with overbets. This hand is basically one of the best possible hands to bluff because it doesn't really block any of his fold range. So I'm going to be using that hand as an overbet on the turn and most likely a shove on the river. Just looking to apply max pressure to his range. with a hand that has no EV as a check, and I can make him fold a ton of better hands. So yeah, that's the idea behind that spot. What? Queen 8 off is going to be a defend. You get a walk, which I will accept. (10-7) is pretty close. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to be playing a normal range. In this pool, I can definitely go very wide from late position, but it's also like it's not going to increase my win rate by a ton. If I decide to just like RFI really loose, I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of EV, so I don't necessarily think it's mandatory to be playing wide ranges pre-flop. What really matters is how you play your ranges post-flop. Here I'm going to be checking range on this board. My fold equity is going to be basically 0 on this texture. Ace King, just going to be a check, check, check. There's nothing really to do with this hand. Rivers are of course really good for me. I don't expect to get bluffed too often on this card if I check, so I have to value bet myself. He's going to have King Queen, King Jack, King 10, so plenty of hands for me to get value from. So fairly easy bet. But be aware that we do have incentive to check value hands versus possible discontinued aggression lines. So villain there, he checked back twice, flop and turn. So if we check river to him, in general people overfold in that line. I don't think, not overfold, sorry, overbluff. I don't think he would be overbluffing on the king. That's why I don't check. But yeah, there are going to be plenty of cards where people are going to be overbluffing. So we have a lot of incentive to check our value hands. But that was an exception, I think. On the king, it's just perceived as so good for me that I'm just not going to be bluffing too often there. Queen high textures are very good for a small blind cold call range. He's going to have a lot of king queen off, ace queen off type combos. So I think checking range is the most reasonable simplification here on the flop. On this turn, once I check range, I'm going to have a large range advantage on this turn. However, king queen doesn't really want to bet on the ace turn. Now I just want to bet small here on the river to get value from any one pair hand. Here with queens, this line is very overfolded, so I don't have any incentive to bet with the nuts. I'm just going to be forcing him to fold worse hand. That's just not what I want. On the river, I don't expect to get bet into too often, so I'm just going to try to get value from ace highs with a small bet. His range is basically going to contain ace highs and king highs, and those hands are not going to be bluffing versus a check. So basically, every time I check, I'm gonna get a check behind. So I have to bet myself. But it doesn't make sense for me to bet big because the hands I want to get called by are going to be ace highs and king highs, and those hands are not able to call a large bet, so I have to bet small. And flop was going to be either a check call or check raise. I think pocket pairs that don't need protection are usually going to be in the check call range. So let's get back to the hand so I can explain. Wow, the software is really laggy today. 10 is going to be a bet on the flop, range betting the flop, obviously, super dry texture, much better for my range. Turn is going to be a fairly easy check, no reason to bet with his hand. And river, if he leads, I think I have to fold if he leads. Nice flop. Yeah, because even though this line is over bluffed, he doesn't really have that many floats that missed on the ace on a king high board. So I would have to fold had he decided to bet. So we check call here with the 6-7. I don't really want to raise and force him to fold. But now on the turn, definitely want to get value from all the possible draws. He's not going to bet full with the combo draw here. I'm going to get a lot of value from those hands. On the queen, still think I have to shove. Still think there's still plenty of value here. He's going to have some ace-10 combos, king-queen combos. I will lose here eventually. What? Oh shit. I didn't realize I was losing to ace-10. That was funny. Yeah, but definitely a shove on the river. Definitely a shove. Unfortunately, we ran into the straight, but that's fine. He also is not going to have queens when he bets the turn large there. Queens is usually going to be a check behind, either on the flop or on the turn. So basically I'm only losing to ace-10 of hearts, ace-10 of diamonds, and pocket jacks. That's basically 5 combos. And it's going to have plenty of combos of king-queen offsuit, for example, ace-king, then my hero, pocket aces, king-jack. Here it makes no sense to bet. Wow, I should have bluffed this river? I don't think so. So it doesn't make any sense to bet the turn with the 8. Can't really get value from worse, can't make better fold. So I have to check, and then on the river, no real point turning it into a bluff. Gonna have plenty of showdown value. Ace queen, fairly easy squeeze here. I put this guy in a very awkward position when I squeeze here. Out of position versus 2, facing a very large squeeze. It's just a super profitable squeezing spot. Thinking about that 7-6 of clubs hand. That's actually a very sick river, now that I think about it. Because he's also going to have 10-9 of diamonds and 10-9 of hearts. So that's like 2 plus 2, 4 plus 3, 7 combos. I need him to call me with more than 7 combos. To shove profitably there. He's gonna have king queen off, most likely. Should I bluff here? I don't know. Yeah, river definitely doesn't make sense to bluff. He's never gonna fold a pair, and I chop with ace highs, which is probably not gonna fold as well. Yeah, I think turn's probably a check back. So king queen off is going to be 9 combos. Is that correct? 3 kings, 3 queens, 3 times 3, 9. Yeah, 9 combos. Yeah, if he only calls me with king queen, then it's already a profitable shove. Yeah, so I think it's fine, definitely fine. We just ran betting range here on queen 7-3, very disconnected texture. I'm gonna be check calling twice here, most likely on blanks, because Bill's gonna have a lot of bluffs in this texture, like a lot. And my hand doesn't block any bluffs. It has some showdown value. The line is over bluffed, so I'm pretty happy to call turn, to call blanks. Obviously the 6 is not a blank, so I would have folded had he bet the river on the 6 of spades, but I would definitely call like low cards. Probably call on a queen as well, or paired cards in general, because like all the draws are gonna miss, and it's going to contain less possible queen X in range. Jack's fairly easy limp 3-bet here. It's gonna be sick if he pops pre-flop, but I don't think it's gonna happen too often. Pretty good board. Let me see betting range here. If he raises, I have to shove. There's nothing I can do. Ace king, dude. What are you doing? Jesus. What just happened? Like, did that guy really raise call ace king? Holy Christ. Yeah, here I have to lead with my ace. I don't really expect to get bluffed on the 10. He doesn't even really have many bluffs possible left in his range. So yeah, I have to lead here because checking doesn't really induce many bluffs on this texture. Also, people are very needy, so it's very unlikely that he will value bet a worse hand. I could potentially bet smaller on the river there. Not sure if I get too much value with that size. But anyway, we have to lead there. I think that ace king hand shows how important it is to to play lines that people are not uh, familiar with, because the guy probably didn't give me any credit for having a hand when I limp 3-bet pre-flop and then just bet super small on a blank texture. A really blank texture. So I guess we kind of induced that crazy play from him. Ace Jack is going to be a limp call most of the time. I'm gonna limp 3-bet against the big blind if the big blind isolates. Sometimes against the button, depends on the size. Against a small blind, probably just gonna limp call. Ace 10 is just a fold here. Villain checks. I can bet range on this flop. I think it's fine. I haven't really studied these linked pots yet, but intuitively I think that I'm just going to be pushing a lot of equity on basically every single board texture, because I'm limping there with 18% of hands, while the big blind range, when he checks pre-flop, he's going to have like 75 to 70% of the bottom hands. So he's extremely capped and with a much wider range than mine. So my range probably has like 60% or more equity in every single board texture. And when that happens, we can just bet every single card in our range for a small size and start polarizing our range on the turn. And since that's a very simple strategy, I think it makes sense for me to use it instead of developing a check back range. But checking back would also be just fine there with ace jack, since I have a lot of showdown value. And here I'm going to do the same thing, although the 5 and the 4 connect very well with their pre-flop calling ranges or check ranges, but still I'm just going to have too much equity. Same thing happening here. Ace 10-10, super blank texture for the big blind pre-flop check range. So I can just bet any two cards. 6-5 is going to be a limp call. Don't really want to be 3-betting the small suited connectors out of position. Flop's pretty dry. People are going to be c-betting a lot of blank combos here, and it's like queen 10 off. Against the size makes his range extremely strong, so I'm just going to be check folding here. We're not going to have any fold equity on the check raise, and obviously calling with 6 high versus almost a pot size bet can't really be good, so we have to check fold. It's amazing to me how passive people play against the limp, and that's probably why it's so effective. People don't limp behind, they don't isolate too much. It's crazy. I can show you my graph later for for how I'm doing the limp pots. Actually, I think I have it here. Oh no, I don't. Yeah, never mind. I'm probably gonna teach you guys this strategy when I'm comfortable with it. So yeah, don't worry. You're not gonna miss a thing. Here versus cold call range, usually we should be checking a lot here because his range is going to be very strong. However, his range is going to be strong on low textures because he's going to have a lot of pocket pairs. On an ace XX texture, my range is still going to be much stronger, so I would definitely be pushing equity there, which allows me to bet my entire range. And I like to bet entire range. It's very easy, you just bet. 6-5 again, going to be a limp call. We can 3-bet against the big blind, so if the guy raises here, I would probably raise. And flop's going to be a range bet, not much to say. If he raises, I'm going to call. Easy call with a pair and a backdoor straight draw. Gonna have to call the turn as well. People can go really nuts in this spot with random bluff combos, so I can't really fold pair plus gutter here. River, I expect him to check basically all his missive draws. It's kind of a really bad river for him to be bluffing. Once he bets the size, it's really close. It's extremely close. Jesus. Wow, queens, bro? Are you serious? Okay. Yeah, I expect that size to be value heavy. However, I do get a very good pot odds when he chooses that size. So I only need him to be bluffing like 20% of the time to make the profitable call. I think it's also fair to say that calling is very hard to not be profitable, especially when all those draws missed. It's a limped pot. No one's going to be going crazy against my perceived weak line. Here I'm going to be checking range on the flop, and then ace jack has to be a check fold. Nothing we can do. Here I'm going to bet range. Pretty disconnected texture. I'm going to be forcing a very hard defense on villain, which allows me to bet a lot of hands profitably because he's going to be overfolding substantially. And then I'm going to be checking very often on the turn because my range is going to be very weak and his range is going to be very strong. Pocket 10 is going to be a limp 3-bet. So I have to pay attention on the preflop sizes. We got 5 minutes left this session. Overall, I think it was a good session. I played reasonably well. Unfortunately, we did end up getting into some cooler spots. But that's fine, it's going to happen. Nothing we can do. Just have to focus, play our best, and hope for the best. Turns a pretty check, no reason to bet on the king. If he bets the river, then you have to fold. And he checks, I get decent showdown value, it's going to have hands like 7x. I don't think I can value bet though, because it's going to have a lot of jack x. Yeah. So I have to check behind. Jack 10's a fold, Jack 3's a fold. Set, deep, and fly. All I want tonight is just keep high. Okay, you look so good, it's to die for. Pocket 9 is just going to be a call pre-flop. I would squeeze if this was late position, but against early position, 9s just doesn't have enough equity to squeeze here. So you have to just call. Pocket twos, easy open. I'm gonna be open calling versus 3-bet. And he would have to fold versus the pot size. Fairly easy check range spot, super connected texture. Deuce is just gonna be a check fold here, nothing we can do. If he checks back, I'm gonna be turned it into a bluff on a lot of turns. But versus stab, just gonna be folding, nothing we can do. 10-7, it's going to be a defense against the small blind and no one else. Maybe against button min raise. Definitely against button raise. Maybe against button 2 point paddocks. It's the fold. King 10 off, easy open fold. We get 3-bet. Have to fold. 2 minutes left. Let's hope for aces, guys. Aces, come on. Aces or kings. I would settle for queen as well, but aces or kings, man. Come on. Pocket eights, easy 3-bet. Small versus button. Get that fold. Jack 8 suited. Playable hand. Gonna be open calling. Ace Jack have to fold against that size. We do get flattened by the big blind. Fairly easy range bet spot on Ace Queen Deuce. Villain's going to be over folding massively on this texture. He has to float a hand like pocket threes here. No one floats pocket threes on this board, man. No one. One minute left. Come on. Pocket aces.
Essa mulher me irritou muito.
Baby, I'm recording a video.
Tá me ouvindo? Essa mulher me irritou demais.
Baby, I'm recording. Come on.
Tá falando comigo? Tá gravando?
Yes. Okay.
Só responde, essa mulher te irritou.
Alright, last 2 hands. Alright, one more hand. Come on. One more hand. No, one more hand, I said. Alright, okay.
What? Olha.
So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the session.
Bye bye.
My fiance is pressuring me into closing the books for today. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. And any questions, any doubts, let me know in the comment section, and I'll be glad to help and answer. See you guys.